Welcome to the Science of Dating podcast. The goal of this podcast is to explore reliable sources on dating, relationships, attraction, sex, and much more. Today's episode is about a study that measured how women's perceived mate value affected their relationship satisfaction with men. Let's break this down a little. By perceived mate value, the study meant how desirable the women felt they and their partners were. By relationship satisfaction, the study meant a woman's overall long-term happiness in her relationship. This study was published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy in 2014. The women in the study rated their own desirability, their partner's desirability, and their overall relationship satisfaction. The researchers then analyzed if women rating themselves as more or less desirable than their male partners had an effect on relationship satisfaction. Mate value, aka desirability, was rated in the following 6 categories: attractiveness, personality, education, intelligence, career prospects, and social status. The findings are as follows. 63% of women in the study rated their own mate value lower than their partners. 10% rated their mate value the same as their partners, and 27% rated their mate value higher than their partners. In total, 73% of women reported that they were in a relationship with a man who had equal or greater perceived mate value compared to their own, whereas only 27% of women were in a relationship with a man that they felt had a lower perceived mate value than theirs. What this means is that most women felt they were with men who were more desirable than they were, so they had done well for themselves. If they were married, they may have felt that they had married up. In contrast, about 1 in 4 women thought they had settled by being with men who they perceived to be less desirable. What's interesting is that this 27% reported to have much lower relationship satisfaction than the other 73% of women who had found an equally or more desirable partner. It is also interesting that only 1 in 10 women felt they had found a man who is on their same level. This finding could potentially challenge the matching hypothesis that people usually choose to be with a partner who has similar levels of attractiveness and social status, but we can definitely discuss that in a later episode. To sum it all up, women in the study choose partners with equal or higher perceived mate value 73% of the time. The 27% that choose a partner with lower perceived mate value had lower rates of relationship satisfaction. So, how does this apply to the real world of relationship and dating? There are key takeaways for both men and women. Men, if you're looking to land a quality woman or keep the current woman in your life, work on you. Think about how you would rate yourself in the 6 categories of attractiveness, personality, education, intelligence, career prospects, and social status, and find ways to improve yourself. By attractiveness, I don't mean that you have to look like Ryan Gosling or Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Just be the most attractive version of yourself. Eat healthily, get enough sleep, exercise, wear clean, well-fitting clothes, and keep yourself well-groomed. It's important to keep in mind that looks are not the most important thing to a quality woman. Women, in general, do not prioritize a man's looks as much as men do women's when choosing a partner. In regards to personality, education, and career prospects, keep up with interests and activities that you feel passionate about. These could be sports or motorcycles, photography, hiking, craft beer, rock climbing, etc. It doesn't really matter what they are. Both men and women are drawn to people with passion. Do something you love for a living and work to be an expert in whatever field or career you work in. People are attracted to others who are living full and happy lives. And we spend a large portion of our time working. Doing something you love for a living will increase your overall well-being and therefore make you more attractive to women. Social status is a really complex phenomenon that we will definitely discuss in a later post. But for now, make friends. Spend time with high-quality people of both sexes. Women find this attractive. For women, it's a little bit simpler. Don't be the 1 in 4 women who settles for a man that you perceive to have a lower mate value than your own. If you do, you will have a greater likelihood of having lower relationship satisfaction. Don't get into a relationship with someone you want to, quote unquote, fix. There's a good chance you're not going to be happy if your main focus is on how you can improve your partner instead of how you can enjoy your partner for who they are. Be sure not to sell yourself too short. And if you're like the 63% of the women in the study who felt they were with a man who had higher perceived mate value than their own, reflect on each of the 6 categories from the study and think about how you could improve in these categories to increase your own mate value. That being said, feeling like you've quote unquote married up isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's evidence that both partners feeling like they married up, so to speak, might be ideal, which is another idea we can definitely discuss in a later episode. As with all studies, there were some limitations to this study. The sample size was relatively small, with 188 participants. Another limitation is that the study was only written in Polish. So only people who could speak Polish could participate in the survey. Now, although the study has these limitations, I still feel that results of the study can help us begin to better understand how perceived mate value affects our relationship satisfaction. What are your thoughts on this episode? I'd love to get some feedback from you. Do you agree with the study's findings? Is there anything it left out? How do you think men would have rated their own perceived mate value, and would there be a similar effect on their relationship satisfaction with women? Answer these questions and more by sharing your comments. Follow me on Twitter at zrawlings85 if you'd like to discuss this in future posts. Next week, we will continue to explore the science of dating, and we'll be talking about the mutual compete model for mate choice in humans. Humans are fairly unique among other species in that both men and women compete for long-term partners. Please subscribe and rate this podcast on whatever platform you prefer. And until next time, this is the Science of Dating podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday.